Now, income and wealth inequality is a gigantic issue here in America, but there are people out there who have benefited greatly from this enormous wealth inequality. And they have done so, of course, by lobbying politicians in order to pass laws that are allowing them to keep more of their own money. Now, how much? A lot. It turns out that the wealth of America's three richest families from the year 1982 has grown, thanks to these policies, thanks to the lobbying, by 6,000%. The top three wealthiest billionaires in the U.S., Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and Warren Buffett, now have as much wealth as the bottom half of the U.S. population combined. Now, it's not just because they've been uber profitable. It's also because the bottom fifth of U.S. households are literally underwater. They have zero or negative net worth. And the next fifth has very few assets to fall back on. In fact, Paul Volcker, who's a former Federal Reserve chairman, said of this situation, quote, "We're developing into a plutocracy." Well, ain't that the truth? Plutocracy, oligarchy. Basically, we are now a country run by rich people. I mean, no bones about it. There was a study a few years back, I think it's a Stanford study, that shows that we, regular people, you and me, we have statistically zero impact on public policy discussions. So that explains how people can be, a majority of people, 90%, for example, can be in favor of background checks, expanded background checks for gun purchases. And yet, NRA lobbyists and other special interest groups, they go in, they bribe our politicians, and so we don't get that. Or how now a majority of Americans want Medicare for all instead of our for-profit private insurance system. And we are no closer to getting Medicare for all than we've ever have been before. And in fact, one of the major political parties is actually out to destroy what little exists of a decent healthcare system that we had in Obamacare, right? Which again, was not great, was not perfect, certainly had a ton of flaws and needed to be expanded. Instead, what the Republicans are doing is that they're contracting it, they're destroying it, chipping it away piece by piece. So, but anyway, let's get to the more, the wealthiest families, right? Now, the three wealthiest families are the Waltons, the Mars Candy family, and the Koch brothers, heirs of the country's second largest private company, Koch Industries. Now, these are old enterprises, by the way, that were built by the grandparents and parents of today's wealthy heirs and heiresses. So this is dynasties now. We now have not political, well, we do have political dynasties as well, and the Bushes and the Clintons, etc. But we also have wealth dynasties, dynastic wealth. Now, we are supposed to be a country that makes sure that we don't have dynastic wealth that basically runs a country. And we did so by doing things like estate taxes, for example, in order to take some of that wealth and put it back into the rest of the population through the government programs. Redistribution of wealth. I know I just made some right-winger's head explode when I said that, but that's what they do. Redistribution of wealth, so that it doesn't just stay in a pile and get passed down from generation to generation. Unfortunately, that's what's happening today because of people like the Koch brothers, because of families like the Waltons that will go in and they use their money. They give millions of dollars to politicians, and those politicians will pass things like reducing the estate tax, or in the last tax cut, trying to eliminate the estate tax. Now, these three families, by the way, right now have a combined fortune of $348.7 billion. That is 4 times the median wealth of an average U.S. family. And since 1982, these three families have seen their wealth increase by nearly 6,000%, factoring in inflation. Meanwhile, the median household wealth went down 3% in the same period. Breaking it down by family, the dynastic wealth of the Walton family itself grew from $690 million in 1982, or $1.81 billion in 2018 dollars, to $169.7 billion in 2018. That is a 9,000% increase. And how much money do these people need? That is the question. How much money is enough? Apparently, there is no limit to how much they want to amass. And in fact, they have lobbied Congress to get tax cuts. The recent round of tax cuts for the rich was aimed squarely at the Waltons and the Koch brothers because they have spent millions of dollars on legal bribes. Should we get the money out of politics? Yes, we need to get the money out of politics because they will never be satisfied with the amount of money that they have. They will never be satisfied. They will continue to ask for a bigger trough. You guys have all seen the meme, for example, of the wine glasses, right? That wine glass just keeps getting bigger. It does not trickle down. It will never trickle down. And there are other tricks, of course, than just tax cuts. There's trusts, shell corporations, there's offshore accounts, there's moving all around the world to dodge taxes. And right now, the government has done nothing. In fact, they have encouraged this behavior by weakening tax laws and weakening the IRS to go after the actual tax cheats. I mean, the Panama Papers was basically recently forgotten. That came out in 2016, showed how all of these rich, very, very rich people, billionaires, are basically just hiding their money offshore. And they're screwing taxpayers out of billions or millions of dollars. Not only that, but we just had a bombshell story of the Trump family, the Trump organization, basically lying and cheating on their taxes. And that story instantly forgotten by not only the media, but also pretty much everybody else. This is how the rich continue to get richer. And look, I don't begrudge CEOs their money. But at the same time, there has to be a limit on how much they can hoard, how much they can amass. There needs to be taxation on the rich that is proportionate to their income. We need to go back to a more progressive tax system that taxes the rich fairly, and they're still going to be rich. You tax them more, but they won't be so obscenely wealthy that they destroy the economy, that they bring down and destroy the middle class, and they destroy the actual American dream. And unfortunately, that's what's happening right now. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know how I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.